Hello, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight another class in our series of classes on Cancer Ascendant and the Moon, the ruling planet, and the different signs. Tonight we'll be doing Cancer in Capricorn. Last week we did Cancer in, the Moon in Capricorn. Last week we did the Moon in Scorpio, which was in fall, and now the Capricorn Moon in Capricorn is in and what we call dishonor, right? It's because it's in the sign that's opposite its nature. It's in the sign of Capricorn, where the moon doesn't work so well. The moon is the sign of childhood, youth, and Saturn is a sign of old age. A person who has Saturn, the moon and Saturn there's a tendency a little bit towards selfishness. They always have to work on selfishness, the people that got moon in Capricorn, because he's always afraid of losing what they have, and so they can become sort of like selfish, because they're always so worried about self-survival. Capricorn is the sign of self-survival, and when it's in the moon, the basic instinct of the person is to survive, and so when you have when you're really trying to be, basically, you're always in survival mode, so then there's a tendency there to be sort of selfish, and so a person has to work on that in this lifetime. I've seen a lot of people that never get married. I've seen a lot of people that never didn't get married because they have the moon in Capricorn. I think of all the moons, I think the moon in Capricorn, in my experience, is the most difficult sign to get married, especially for a man, because what do you always say? The women who spend money, they have a very hard time staying married, and the men who are cheapskates, they also have a very tough time in marriage. So the moon in Capricorn can a lot of times be a little bit, tight with their money, because they're always in this survival mode. When you have the moon in a Cancer ascendant with the moon in the 7th house, the moon is going to be in the 7th house, so the partnerships are important. There's going to be problems in partnerships, in marriage, but there's going to be a big desire to come before the public. Remember, the 7th house is to come before the public, and it's also, there's a person who likes to work with other people, to like to be in the public eye, and so it tends to make them good business people, because they're very they like to be before the public, and they like to deal with people, and so it's a good sign for business. Tonight we're going to do a horoscope of a man who is very famous. His name was Merv Griffin. He was he was like a singer, and then he became very, very popular in television. He was the head of television, some of the most successful television shows of his era. And he made a tremendous amount of money. He made money as first of all as like a star. Then he made money also later on as a producer, and eventually made loads of money in real estate. And if you look at this chart, you'll see a very, very powerful chart. Again, we always say that these like singers and actors, they have a strong first house, and he had the Sun and Pluto conjoined in the first house. A certain toughness too, and a certain, he thought highly of himself with the Sun there in the first house. And the Sun not only aspected the ascendant, it was on the ascendant, but it was also almost exactly connected to his moon by opposition. So it gave him a tremendous popularity. He was one of the most popular men in America in his era. And so you see that from the Sun aspecting. Here's a case where the Sun takes over tremendous importance, because it's aspecting the ascendant and the ruling planet, and so it brings him a lot of fame. And the Sun is also aspecting his midheaven, his career, and also in his chart he has Jupiter. Jupiter helps his bed, even though Jupiter is also in fall in Capricorn, but Jupiter together with this exactly conjoined to the moon, it gave him a tremendously tremendous amount of popularity. Jupiter is a planet of great good fortune, and so it improved his instincts. Right? When he had the Jupiter there, he has Jupiter improving that moon, made the moon a lot better. And so you see, he's got already 4 planets, 2 planets on the ascendant, 2 planets in the 7th. He has another planet in the house of career. So he has 5 important planets angular, including the sun and the moon. It was a very, very strong chart, very lucky when you have the moon conjoined to Jupiter. It's very, very lucky combination. And then you have the sun aspecting everything, brought him a tremendous amount of honor. And of course he had 3-4 planets in the house of money, which with his very, very strong personality, he became a very, very wealthy man. It was an extraordinarily lucky, good chart that you see in his chart there, right? He has the Uranus on the top of the chart, conjunct the midheaven, which a person wants to be his own boss, and he did that with a vengeance. Right? He started his own companies, became producer, started production companies, and then got off and became head of a real estate empire. And he didn't, have any people under him, above him. He was in charge. And so it's quite an interesting chart, quite powerful, and besides that, sun is not only is the sun in the first house, but it's aspecting the ascendant and the moon. But there's 3 planets in Leo in his chart. He's got 4 planets in Leo. He's got a stellium in Leo, right? He's got Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Neptune all in Leo. So all those 4 planets are disposited by the sun. All of those 4 planets give their energy to the sun. So you see, that makes the sun like tremendously more powerful. The sun is getting the energy from all those 4 planets, and the sun is in the first house, almost exactly conjunct the man's ascendant, and it's exactly opposite his moon and his Jupiter. So a tremendously powerful chart, right? He had everything. He was given wealth. He was given all those 4 planets in the house of wealth, and they're giving themselves to that super powerful sun. So he had the wealth, and he had the fame, all because of the sun, and the sun making the aspect to the 2 important points, the ascendant and the moon. And I thank everybody for listening, and I hope they enjoyed the class.